Good afternoon, everybody. Today is the 8th of March, 2020, and this is Rick, also known as Duke City Double Dog. I am in Benson, Arizona. It is raining, and it seems like it may be raining all along my trip today, so that may put me a little behind. We'll see how the roads are and everything and the traffic, so hopefully it'll dry out a little bit, but not counting on it. We're going to try to run to Amarillo, Texas today. Hopefully we'll get there. It's about 640 miles, so it's going to be a push, especially in this weather. So Clovis at the least, if not somewhere in between. So just a few things. If you forgot, it is daylight savings time. So if you were late to church today or whatever, or you're going to be late to work tomorrow, no excuses, so make sure you put that clock forward. That said, I am in Arizona, which is still Mountain Standard Time. Arizona is one of the few states that does not recognize daylight savings time, except on the Navajo Nation. On the Navajo Nation, they recognize it, but not here. Not here in where I'm at. So so for standard time, for where everybody else is on standard time, Arizona is on the same time zone and the same time as New Mexico and Colorado and Wyoming. But now that daylight savings time has kicked in, it's on the same time as California. So that said, they didn't go forward an hour, but they are in that same time. So so it's a little different. You gotta be aware of that, especially this time of year when you're running stuff in and out of Arizona. So just got to be aware of it. So we are about 20 minutes from being able to run. We ran till early in the morning, plus the hour change really threw a little wrench in there. So we're gonna get ready to run in about 20 minutes here, and get out of here. I was lucky to find a Love's out here and make it here just with about 10 minutes on my clock last night, and lucky to find a good parking space. This is an interesting parking lot, and they actually have two Loves here, one on each side. So I don't know about parking on the other side, but this I was able to find some parking, and it's well lit and it's pretty clean. A lot of water right now, but anyway. So we will film some as we go. Forgive the rain. I have been working on I know it doesn't help now, but because if you're watching this one, unless you've skipped a bunch of them, I have been working on editing videos. I've got 3 of them that are finishing up, and I should be able to post those tonight. Hopefully I can edit a couple more before I go to bed tonight, and then and try to get as close to caught up as I can, and hopefully we'll stay caught up, but you just never know. It just depends on this job. So anyway, we're gonna get moving in a couple minutes. You guys have a good one. Stay with me and we'll see what happens. All right, we got everything set. We are pretty good to go. We just need to be a little careful getting out of this lane here.
Top 1,000 country songs of all time. Number 45.
Hey, we're in the top 50 in the top country music songs of all time. I don't know how they managed to rank them. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't. But anyway, we're gonna head on I-10 eastbound. We're gonna take it not quite all the way into Las Cruces. We're gonna pick up US 70. Well, we'll be in Las Cruces itself, but we're gonna do that, and well, that's not good. Well, I mean, for whoever that is, it's not good. Alright. Amazing how it stopped raining just as we got in the truck to get ready to roll. walking in the rain a little bit today. Still thinking about that guy last night when that fire. I wish I would know how he's doing. I don't know if you can see to the right. Those are those idle air setups. And they got a lot of parking over here, extra parking. But idle air was something that I don't know if anybody's really running it anymore or if it's working anymore because it just seemed to be too expensive. But anyway, oh cool, if you want to go to Tombstone, go check out the OK Corral. That's the way to go right there. Exit 303. I don't know how far it is off of the beaten path, but and the Bisbee that way. It's a beautiful view right here coming down this hill. But anyway, so we got excuse that there. The window's gonna be a little rough here. You gotta be careful using. You shouldn't really use your jake brake very much when you're in. It's wet, but this really isn't wet anymore. But you need to be careful either way. So we'll just be careful. Couple things here. Anyway, I was talking about idle air. Well, what it was designed to do, it was designed to keep the trucks from having to idle and waste fuel, or if you were in places where you couldn't idle because of a law or whatever, you could get either heat or air conditioning plus other power to your truck. You could also get TV shows or movies or other stuff like that out of it. And basically what you did is you either purchased or rented this adapter that fit in your window. I don't know, either your driver's or your passenger side window, I don't remember which one it is. Anyway, it was an adapter and it fit this connection, which was basically this giant hose. And maybe I'll see if I can find a link to it so you can see it. But it fit this giant hose, and the hose had return air in it, and it had electrical connections and all this other stuff in there. So you didn't have to idle in order to get all this stuff, or to keep cool, or to keep warm. So, and you'd pay either a monthly fee or you'd pay per use fee. And it was just called idle air. And you'll see them still at a lot of truck stops, but I don't know anybody who's actually using them. I don't even know if the company's still in business, but they put a lot of infrastructure out there for it. So, so you'll see them around the country. You'll see them at truck stops still. Like I said, I don't even know if they're still in business. I'll see if I can check it out. Maybe put a little note in here about it. But anyway, so we've got 100 miles to Lordsburg, and we've got 522 miles till we get to Clovis. So we'll probably take a break before we get to Clovis. Maybe somewhere around Tularosa or that area over there. Anyway, we'll take a little bit of a break and then go from there. And hopefully, now it's going to be pushing it because it's about 640 miles, and we're not going on interstate for hardly any of it. So it's going to be a little rough, and depending on whether it's raining or how the roads are, 640 in a day can be pushing it if you're governed at 64 miles an hour. So there's not a lot of room for error there. You can do it, but everything's got to happen just right. So we'll see. It's going to be a hard run today. If we can do 640, then we're going to make it to our next fuel stop, which will be in Amarillo, and that'll be where we'll stop for the night. So anyway, you guys have a good one, and we will pick it up in a little while. go to the right there, you're going to have Mexico a little ways down that way. So it's been a very rainy day here so far. Looks like it's going to continue for a while. So apologize if the picture is not the best on the front-facing camera, but it is what it is. So you have, just so you know, there's basically 3 interstates that go through New Mexico. You've got I-40 that goes north-south. And we're getting into New Mexico right here. Welcome to the land of enchantment. Anyway, so you've got I-40 that goes north or south, and that actually terminates at, or the start of I-40 is actually in Las Cruces, just near New Mexico State University. And so from there, once that terminates, you run into I-10, which goes east-west. You go west, you go towards Tucson, Phoenix, and Los Angeles that way. If you go east, you go towards El Paso and towards, I think, I-10 goes towards Dallas, Houston, that area over there. I haven't actually taken I-10 very far east in Texas, so that'll be a trip I'll have to take at some point in time. And then, of course, you've got, I said I-40 going north-south. I was wrong. I-25. Excuse me. It's I-25 that starts or ends whichever direction you're going in Las Cruces by New Mexico State University. I-40 goes east-west. That goes right through along the old Route 66, US 66 routing for the most part. That's going to go Gallup, Grants, Albuquerque, Moriarty, Santa Rosa, Tucumcari, and then into Texas. We're going to pick up 40 a little bit later, but we're not going to pick it up until we get into Texas. We'll pick it up at Amarillo later. But anyway, it's a nice little drive so far. A couple hours in, and we'll keep it going and see what else we see. All right, we're coming into Deming, New Mexico. Just a few interesting things, some personal, but just a little history. There's about 14,000 people here in Deming. Before the Gadsden Purchase in the 1850s, where the United States purchased this lower part of New Mexico and Arizona from Mexico, Deming was a point on the border, like a point of entry. But what Deming's sort of famous for is it was the site of the laying of the Silver Spike, which was the second transcontinental railroad, the completion of that, between the Southern Pacific and the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe railroads, and that happened in 1881. But what else also is really interesting about that is that people thought they gave actually Deming a nickname, and they called it Little Chicago, which what they thought was going to happen is they thought that because there was so much railroad traffic and where this was, that it would grow to be something like Chicago, Illinois. Well, I'm not sure of the population of Chicago, but I know it's in the millions. The population of Deming is about 14,000 people, so not quite the same size, not quite the same thing, but still nice little town. On a personal note, a little bit of history for me, going back to when I was in high school a long time ago. I don't know if you ever met somebody like once and had an experience with them and then wondered what the heck ever happened to them. But when I was a junior in high school, the Deming Wildcats came up to Gallup, my hometown, to play in a basketball tournament, and they brought their cheerleaders with them. And I remember me and a couple buddies snuck the cheerleaders out from Deming to go have fun and party with. Met one girl in particular named Rachel. Had a lot of fun, and she was really nice and everything. And after she left, never talked again, never saw her again. But you never wonder. You always wonder, hey, you have somebody for that brief moment in your life, and then that's it. But you enjoy it and you remember those things and everything else. But anyway, this is Deming, New Mexico. We're about 52 miles from our 52 miles from our turnoff in Las Cruces, heading northeast towards Clovis and Amarillo, Texas. So anyway, we'll pick it up there in a few. Okay, I don't know if you can see this. I've never seen a car stuffed in a small box like that, but there it is. That's interesting. So even though we're headed east, you can still see some of the colors from the sunset. Beautiful, just all the different colors here. So just thought I'd share that with you for a minute. It's just even though it rained and it's been rainy for the most part, it sure is a beautiful sunset. And now it's drying out. Hopefully it'll stay this way until we get the rest of the trip. All right. So we're coming into Las Cruces, New Mexico. Las Cruces, it's a nice view from up here. It's grown a whole lot. It goes. There's not really a break anymore between Las Cruces and El Paso, or not much of one. Las Cruces is the second largest city in New Mexico. About 103,000 in the city itself. About 203 in the metro area, Las Cruces metro area. That's about a fifth the size of Albuquerque. So big difference. It is also the home to New Mexico State University, which is the only land-grant college in New Mexico. I lived here for a couple of years. I did go to New Mexico State University for a couple of years, and when I first got out of high school. And this city has grown huge since then. You can see a line of lights that sort of go into the mountains over there, straight ahead, or a little bit to the left. That's sort of the direction we're going to end up going here in a minute. We get off here on West Picacho Avenue, which is also 70 East, and that goes around the city, and that we're going to pick that up. The other option is to go all the way down to I-25, which is down by the university, and then to cut north from there, and that just adds a little bit to it. I don't know if it's going to add a ton of time, but it is 10 miles to get to where I-25 meets. So while the speed limit may be a little bit higher on there, it's going to be a longer ride. So we're going to go here on I-70, like I said, that picks up West Picacho. That's what it is. The Picacho Mountains are over here. It's not really something can be easy for you to see. I don't know if you can or not. But to the left, you'll see the Picacho Mountains. Picacho Mountain itself is about 4,300 feet, somewhere around there. And there's a really good golf course over there, private course in Picacho Hills. But those are called the Doña Ana Mountains. And then the mountains to the east of Las Cruces are the Organ Mountains. So anyway, that's it for right now. We're just going to take this and we'll see. We'll go over here so we will pick you up in a few minutes, a little while. Okay, everybody, we're headed down the hill here. It has been a long long time since I've been on this road. I'm talking about 20, almost 30 years. Seriously, almost 30 years. And it has changed quite a bit. But you do see signs for White Sands Missile Range. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But first, before I do that, a little bit of a pet peeve. Coming over this hill, there's no lights coming down this hill. So real steep incline and then real steep downhill. And you go about half a mile down the hill and all of a sudden there's a sign that says engine brake use prohibited. Now, I know like the old time engine brakes on some of them that were so loud that had that really rumble kind of stuff. I know the sound used to bug people, and the newer ones have mufflers on the engine brakes to dampen them. And I was told by my instructor, but also my trainer, that those signs didn't apply to trucks that use mufflers on their engine brakes. Now, some states have signs that say engine brake muffler is required. So I mean, you can use them as long as you have that muffler. And I understand again the issue of sound, but there's a saying: if you think the engine brakes on one of these things are loud, you should hear this thing go through somebody's front room. You know, you gotta let truck drivers do whatever they need to control their descent on these places. If you're gonna have the hills like this, you need to, and that's all there is to it. And because it's nighttime and I can't really judge what the descent's like, and the sign didn't say what the percent grade was, I'm being overly cautious. If I get a ticket, I get a ticket. I hate to be that way, but I'm gonna be overly cautious. I'd rather get a ticket than something tragic happen. So anyway, want to talk just a little real quick, just like we passed. There's two things out here to talk about. One, White Sands Missile Range. I know you can't see it. You couldn't probably really tell even if it was light out. But White Sands Missile Range is the largest military installation in the country. It is run by the Army. It's a test facility. There's some history there. The Trinity site, that's where the first atomic bomb was detonated. I know that you can go once a year. You can go visit the site where that was detonated, and people do. They go check it out. Also, White Sands Missile Range was one of the backup landing spots for the space shuttle program. It was only used once as that, and that was early in the flights. I think that was SDS-3. The weather at Edwards Air Force Base in California and at Kennedy at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida was really bad, and they landed here at White Sands Missile Range at one of the strips. So, but they do a lot of testing, a lot of missile testing. I think if you watch some of my videos when I was going through Gallup and I talked about Fort Wingate Army Depot over there, they do fairly regularly. They'll launch missiles from Fort Wingate up there, and they'll use interceptor missiles from the White Sands range over here to test them, to test interceptor missiles. So pretty cool. Other part a little bit farther is going to be White Sands National Monument. Actually, excuse me, it's now White Sands National Park. Just became a national park, and it's the largest collection of white gypsum sand in one place. It's like 200 square miles full of sand dunes, white gypsum sand dunes. You might have seen them in music videos or movies or whatever, but pretty cool. It's a pretty cool place if you ever get a chance to visit. It should be on your to-do list. There's a couple national parks here in southern New Mexico to check out. That's one of them. The other one I would say would be the Carlsbad Caverns National Park. That would be another one to go check out. But anyway, like I said, you're not gonna be able to see a whole lot. There aren't any lights out here until we get to Alamogordo, New Mexico, and once we get done with Alamogordo, we're gonna head a little bit towards Tularosa and then cut up north towards Clovis. So we're still getting a little bit of rain. We had a little fog there for a few minutes, but we'll see from there. So just to let you know, we're up here in Ruidoso, New Mexico, into the Mountain of Gods. It is a resort up here. You also have Ski Apache. It's the Mescalero Apache tribe that own both of those. Into the Mountain Gods, the resort is wonderful. They have a beautiful hotel, spa, golf course. They have really great entertainment that comes up here. Famous acts and stuff like that. And like I said, you also have Ski Apache up here if you're a snow skier. Quite a few years ago, when I first went to New Mexico State University down in Las Cruces, we had a couple of weekends where the weather was such that the snow was wonderful up here at Ski Apache, and but if you went down towards Elephant Butte, which is a huge reservoir, it was in the 70s down there. But there were a couple times we went snow skiing on a Saturday and water skiing on a Sunday. So anyway, it's wonderful. As you go through Ruidoso, you also have Ruidoso Downs, which is horse racing. It's the home of the All-American Futurity. I believe it's it's a quarter horse race. It's the world's richest quarter horse race. I think the winner wins $1 million or something like that. That's at Ruidoso Downs. So pretty good. I mean, pretty nice area. I know quite a few people from other states own land up here, up in Ruidoso. So pretty nice. But anyway, just thought I would share that when I came across real fast the Into the Mountain God sign. But there's a lake out there as well. So just so you know. Well, a little bit more history for you. We're just entered Lincoln County. If you're not familiar with Lincoln County, very famous for the Lincoln County Wars. And one of the most famous persons in that, Billy the Kid. So anyway, and like I said, we just got into Ruidoso, so it's a really beautiful town over here. It's really nice. So if you see anything else that's worth seeing, we'll get you back here.